guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Hey guys, I'm back and it is January 2nd and it's 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you had a great new year and I hope it continues on into the new year, that you have a happy, blessed, and prosperous new year. And what we're going to be doing tonight, there are no Q posts yet. Now it's still early, so Q could still post, but we've got a lot of Q related news to get into, and I've kind of let it slide over the holidays, but I'm starting to get a backlog and I thought I've got to get this caught up tonight. Now, I am continuing with some other people. We have kind of formed a little research team and we are continuing to look at the notebook, so that is something that I will be bringing to you as we progress. I'll be bringing to you the findings there, because it seems like, you know, when we're researching, these things are checking out. So I think that there is something to this, and I think we're just going to continue and see where it leads. It seems to be connected to a lot of the Q stuff that we're already aware of, so I think it is important and important to continue with that. But anyway, tonight we are going to get into the Q related news, and there's a lot of it. So I will go as long as I can, and then I may have to do another video. I'm not sure if I'll do it tonight, but I do want to get caught up on this because it's stuff that we do need to know. I think it's things that you will want to know, or perhaps should know. So let's get into it. All right, here's the first thing. I hate to start the evening off on a bad note. This will probably upset you. It certainly did me. Let me close some of this down so that I'll have a faster time here. All right. Mark Zuckerberg's 2019 resolution. What do you think that is? Well, more political censorship on Facebook, of course. That shouldn't surprise any of us, but I don't know about this guy. I don't know if he is just all Botoxed up with no place to go, but he's an odd-looking fellow, and I noticed that during the congressional hearings, and I don't like to dwell on somebody's appearance, but he just, you know, he just didn't look real. There's something about him that just is very odd. But anyway, Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg promised to better prevent election interference and the spread of hate speech. Now, of course, hate speech is anything that he or his ilk does not approve of, then that indeed is hate speech. He neglected to define either term, of course, in a blog posted on the company's platform. Zuckerberg repeated his previous calls to suppress sensationalism and misinformation, because as we know, Facebook is the god of information, and they decide whether or not it's true information or whether it's false news. Fake news. Zuckerberg repeated his previous calls to suppress sensationalism and misinformation and to remove content related to terrorism, terms he did not define. He also committed to promoting news from trusted sources. So that leaves you and me out. You know, anybody that's doing alternate type news or conservative news, those are the types of people that he wants to weed out, because he believes that it's only his opinion that matters, and anybody that disagrees with that, then they have no place on Facebook. I really can't wait for the day that somebody invents a platform that is truly free, because Facebook surely isn't. Neither is YouTube. Neither is Twitter. I don't know of any that are truly free, but I guess there are a few small ones popping up, but nothing that's really caught on big at this point. So Zuckerberg opted against making any mention of free speech, expression, or the First Amendment in his post. Well, of course he would. A set of Facebook internal guidelines for political censorship, 1,400 pages in length, was leaked this week. Breitbart News reported Sarah Sue, a senior engineer on the news feed, commented on the process, stating, "It's not our place to correct people's speech, but we do want to enforce our community standard on our platform. When you're in our community, we want to make sure that we're balancing freedom of expression and safety." Monica Bickert, Facebook's head of global policy management, stated that Facebook aimed to prevent harm and believed that they had been successful in that endeavor so far. Oh, I feel so safe. I feel so safe, Zuckerberg. Thank you. Thank you for being my nanny. Zuckerberg concluded, "I'm proud of the progress we've made." Well, certainly he would be, wouldn't he? While testifying before the Senate Intelligence Committee in September, Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg said her company would present alternative facts to combat what she described as misinformation spread on her company's digital platform. Well, I mean, call me crazy, but I got an idea. Why don't we all just look after ourselves, and why don't we all just decide whether something is true or fake by ourselves? Why do we need our hands held? Why? Really? But I guess Mark Zuckerberg thinks that we are children and that he needs to hold our hands and nanny us. So, well, we'll see how that works out for him. I think he's losing revenue. I think that he's losing people, and I think that will continue because I think most of us have pretty much had enough. Anyway, let's go on. Enough of that. Now, here we go. Here's something else. Now, this is a couple days old, but it's still pertinent. All right. Civil war is coming. Germany now joins France as citizens from both countries flood the streets in rage against Islamic immigration. People have had enough. They've had enough. And it's interesting how they'll say, oh, it's all about the fuel tax or whatever. No, it isn't. I'm not going to get into this. I just wanted to read the headline more or less, but I also wanted to. I didn't clip it out, but because I was actually in a coffee shop drinking some tea when I saw this on the news, and apparently there is a new political party in Ontario now. It's the Islamic Party. Oh, joy! So yeah, this is not the Canada that I grew up in, and I am looking very forward to coming back to the United States. I was born here, I was raised here, and I do love my country. I love the people here, but I do not like what I see happening here at all. Anyway, let's go back because we've got a bunch of stuff to get into. All right. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this. If you haven't, then let me go ahead and tell you. Bree Payton died under suspicious circumstances. And this person, Dutch Q Yellow Vest Movement, says, all right, this makes me suspicious. Bree Payton found out that the DOJ destroyed text messages from two FBI employees, before they, and that would have been Strzok and Page, before they reviewed by the Inspector General, gets the word out, and this is not well written. Bree Payton found out the DOJ destroyed text messages from two FBI employees before they're reviewed by the Inspector General, gets word out, and then she turns up dead 2 weeks later. Interesting. Now, she was the Federalist writer and frequent Fox News guest, and she was only 26 years old. I heard, from what I understand, they said that the cause of death was the flu, which is quite unusual for a healthy 26-year-old who had no other health issues. So I don't know. It's a coincidence. I mean, it's odd that she was the one that leaked this or wrote about this, and then 2 weeks later she's dead. It's a little odd, but there's a lot of odd things, especially people that hang around with Hillary Clinton or have any business dealings with her. They tend to have things like that happen a lot too. It's odd, isn't it? Anyway, let's go on here. That is my kitten that is meowing in the background, if you can hear it. The next time I want to get a kitten, please somebody slap me very, very hard. Say no, don't do it. Anyway, I love her. I love him, rather, but this is the most rambunctious kitten I've ever seen in my life. I think the kitten takes speed. I really do. I don't know where he's getting it. I don't, but maybe he's trading in his catnip or I don't know, but I swear the cat's on speed. All right. Now, I thought this was kind of cute. Somebody put this on Twitter, and it's a Virginia license plate, and it has the letter Q. Hey, I want one of those license plates. Yeah, it's probably taken by now. And that was in Merrifield, Virginia. So if this is your car in Merrifield, Virginia, hey. All right. Now, love this. Let's look at this before we look at this link right here. Look at this. You know how they're saying now, like all of these people were all for the wall until Donald Trump came along. And then all of a sudden, you know, the wall is a terrible thing, totally immoral. But they were all pretty much for the wall or a fence or border security before Trump. But, you know, they just don't like Trump. So they're going to try and block him wherever they can. And it's interesting because this is Obama's house where he lives with Valerie Jarrett and his husband, his wife, and whatever. And there's the Clintons' house. And here's Pelosi's house and Feinstein's house. And here's Maxine Waters' house. Now, notice one thing in common from all those that oppose walls to protect America. They all live behind walls. So don't tell me walls don't work. Otherwise, tear those walls down around your house, right? Because they're not working anyway, right? They don't work. So why did you pay all that money to build walls around your house when they don't work? I don't understand that. Isn't that a waste of money? That's not very good stewardship, is it? I'm just saying. I mean, since they don't work and all. I don't know why you'd want to live in a gated community or behind walls when they don't work. Seems a little odd, but hey, what do I know? All right. And let's look at this. I can't remember what it is, but we'll all be surprised together. Oh, yes. Okay. I'm just going to I'm warning you right now. If you haven't seen this is something. Now, you've heard that Elizabeth Warren is going to be, has put her hat in the ring, I guess, or is at least doing an exploratory committee or whatever to run for president in 2020. Well, you know something, Elizabeth Warren and I are probably diametrically opposed on most things, but we do have something in common. And I know you're saying, tell us, Mishel, tell us what you and Elizabeth Warren have in common. Well, neither one of us will ever be president of the United States. There you go. So anyway, she thinks she's going to be president, though, and that's, and when they asked Trump, well, what do you think about Elizabeth Warren running? He said, well, I don't know, ask her psychiatrist. I thought that was a very interesting, because apparently she does have some issues with bipolar. I don't know. I'm just going by what I read, and, if she's all stable and everything, that should not interfere with her running, but what should interfere with her running is the fact that she, for most of her life, up until recently, has masqueraded as a Cherokee and, has referred to herself as a native, which she's not. Actually, I think her chances of winning the presidency would actually be less than 1 in 1,024, which is the percentage of native blood that she has, which is actually less native blood than the general population. So, congratulations, you're the whitest woman in America. So anyway, let's listen to her, because here she is on Instagram, and I think she's trying to be relatable, but I think it failed miserably. Let's just take a listen here. 2 years, just for the comedic value. Just for the comedic value. All right.
Everybody who's joining this video, it's great to hear from you. Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
She's going to get herself a beer. Yep, she's announced she is.
Hey,
there you go.
Robert, my husband Bruce is now in here.
Bruce is there.
You want a beer?
No, I'll pass on the beer for now.
You sure? Okay, say hello.
Yes.
So, this is my sweetie.
Hello.
He's the best. And I'm crazy.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for being here.
Slapping his butt.
I'm glad you're here.
Enjoy your beer.
So, who have we got here so far that I can see? Gabmar, good to see you.
Okay, this isn't the one that I thought it was. The one that I had didn't have these little pop-ups here, and it was just the raw video. And it was something because she was, swigging her beer as she's talking to people. I guess trying to be more relatable, but it made her look silly. And most, like, I don't drink. Once in a while, I might have a glass of wine with a very nice meal, but I'm not a drinker per se. But most of the people that I know that do drink that are ladies and ladies, they pour their beer into a glass, especially if they're out at somewhere nice or they're going to be seen somewhere. You don't just swig your beer. I'm not a beer drinker, but I can just about guarantee you that if I was, you wouldn't catch me dead drinking out of the bottle like that. Now, I'm not, if you're in your own home and having a beer and whatever, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you're out at a nice restaurant or whatever and you swig your beer like that, or she's in front of the camera, in front of potential voters. Not a good idea, especially since this is, her and everybody else was so against Kavanaugh because he drank during high school. And here she's swigging a beer. But that's okay, isn't it? Nobody says anything about that. Nobody says, oh, maybe she has a drinking problem. No, I mean, I don't think that this is an indication, because I believe that if she did have a drinking problem, the last thing she'd do is appear on camera drinking a beer. That's just me. But anyway, it's a little odd. And the other thing too is CNN. Well, Anderson Cooper, and I'm not sure who the other one was. I don't watch New Year's Eve. I just saw little clips of it on YouTube and stuff, but I did see the clip of Anderson Cooper drinking, and apparently they were drinking on the hour or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm thinking, these are the very people that came against Brett Kavanaugh because he drank in high school. But they think it's okay to be sloshed on air. And clearly, Anderson Cooper must have been sloshed on air because he was talking about his mother's sex life. And I know I was listening to it and going, okay, this makes me uncomfortable. Like, who talks about their mother's sex life? Really? Don't know. I guess Anderson Cooper does. Anyway, that's all I have to say for that. And let's go and see what other trouble we can get into, because I'm pretty sure we can. We can find something. Now, this is something very encouraging. At least it's very encouraging to me. And we've seen this before, but it bears seeing it again because the numbers have increased. Okay, so 2010, we've got Obama, 300 arrests. This is human trafficking arrests. Let me get this so that we can see it. 2011, 938. 2012, 967. 2013, 1877. 1771 in 2014. 14,037 in 2015. 1,952 in 2016. And then Trump comes. Yeah, almost doubles it at 3,213, and then he triples it to 10,320 as of 9/01/18. So we know that it's increased even more so. Yeah, so don't tell me that he's not doing anything, because that's what people would like to have us think, that Trump's not doing anything. He's just going off and playing golf. Oh my gosh, I've heard that so often. Oh, he just takes vacation and goes golfing. And I'm thinking, I think you're thinking about Obama. That's not Trump. He's accomplished more in 2 years than anyone. Anyway, and look at this. This makes me very happy. 4,119 children saved. That's a lot of children. Just think about it. These are children whose lives would have forever, they may not have even survived the trafficking, but, you know, they were saved out of that life. I mean, that is cause for celebration as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's look at this. No, really, let's. All of a sudden, I just had this, nope, it's fine. All right. I don't know why. All of a sudden, I had this feeling that it wasn't recording. That has happened to me before. I've gone a whole hour or 45 minutes, and then I realized it wasn't recording, and yeah, then I wanted to spit nails, but I didn't, because that would hurt. It's hard on your teeth. All right, where was I here? Let me go back here. Yeah, right here. Look at this, Spectator USA. Why did nobody mention that Beto O'Rourke's wife is a billionaire heiress? I don't know. Why didn't anybody mention that? It's curious, isn't it? A little. Bloomberg once estimated the wealth of Beto's father-in-law at $20 billion. That's just chump change. But obviously that's not worth mentioning when you profile him. Apparently not. So why didn't they want people to know that? Young Beto O'Rourke casts himself as the anti-Trump, but his father-in-law, it turns out, is a billionaire property developer with a contentious relationship with non-white residents, not unlike the president. Well, I don't agree with that. Obviously, they're slanting this. They're slamming him, but they're also slamming President Trump. But anyway, just thought that was interesting that nobody seemed to mention that. You know, you'd think it would have come up in conversation, but no, apparently not. All right. Now, here's one. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist this. You know, some things I can't resist. Anyway, who wore it better? Hillary Clinton or the Kirby vacuum cleaner? Well, it's a toss-up, but I think the vacuum cleaner. Yeah, but actually, I do like this material. It may have came from a couch. It may not have come from a vacuum cleaner. It could have come from a couch, a recliner, curtains. Probably curtains. It was probably one of those things that she saw the curtains in the window and she couldn't resist. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Now, this is another little piece of good news. Not so little. Sealed indictments 11/30, 2000, that was November 30th, 2017 through December 30th, 2018. Well, how many sealed indictments do we have now? Envelope, please. No, I'm just kidding. We have 70,887. Yeah, 70,887. Now, how long is it going to take to try all these people? That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. All right. Well, I'm not going to go into all the particulars. I just wanted to throw that number out there because last time I had looked, it was like 60,000 and something. So somebody's busy. Somebody's busy. All right. Let's see. I can't remember what this is about, to tell you the truth, because it was right before Christmas. So it might be old news by now. But let's take a boo. Trump fact checks media. Brett McGurk, responsible for pallets of cash to Iran. Oh, what's this all about? President Donald Trump reacted Monday to critics who had rallied around former U.S. envoy Brett McGurk, noting that he was the Obama administration official responsible for sending pallets of cash to Iran for U.S. hostages. McGurk, who was appointed by President Barack Obama in 2015 as special envoy to the international coalition fighting the so-called Islamic State, ISIS, resigned his post over the weekend in protest against President Trump's decision to withdraw troops from Syria. Oh, yes, I remember. Though McGurk had been due to leave his post in February, his resignation provided more fodder for Trump's critics in the wake of the Secretary of Defense James Mattis' resignation on Thursday. So it's like this, okay? He was leaving in February, but to protest Trump's withdrawal of the troops from Syria, he decided to be a drama king and resign. You know, I mean, he's leaving in February. Give it a rest. It's just drama. That's all this is. These people are like 2-year-olds. Trump initially responded by accusing McGurk of grandstanding, adding that he had been appointed by Obama and that Trump did not even know him, that in turn led to more criticism. Well, of course, everything that Trump does is criticized. For all of the sympathizers out there of Brett McGurk, remember, he was the Obama appointee who was responsible for loading up airplanes with $1.8 billion in cash and sending it to Iran. Oh, what happened here?
Was submitted reportedly.
Hate it when that happens. Okay. Obama appointee who was responsible for loading up airplanes with $1.8 billion in cash and sending it to Iran as part of the horrific Iran nuclear deal, now terminated, approved by little Bob Corker. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, that was all grandstanding. And we're not going to get too much into that because by now it's out of the news cycle anyway and was just an additional thing to make Trump look bad, which it didn't as far as thinking people are concerned, but we know that not all of us are thinking people. I would like to think that everybody listening here is, because I think that almost all of my listeners are people that are awake and are aware of all this stuff. Anyway, let's go back. See what else. Oh, yes. Now this I have to hit on because I have been hearing this for a very long time, but it's interesting that I have found an article on it because I have been hearing for a very long time that the reason that the elites are ingesting young blood, baby blood, is because it has been shown to have anti-aging effects. And so that is presumably, I'm sure there are many other reasons. And of course, the adrenochrome thing, that is like, it's the same thing. And this is horrific. But in, I'm not sure if they do it in North Korea. I know they do in South Korea because I have friends that have been missionaries there, and they eat dogs and they torture them before they die so that the meat is sweeter, because the adrenaline rushing through their body actually sweetens the meat. And it's the same sort of idea with children, that when they're tortured per se, they release adrenochrome, or it makes, I'm not sure, it has something to do with it goes into the blood and it releases the substance which I believe is called adrenochrome. I know about adrenochrome and how it's sold now for high dollars, but it actually gives them a high, and the blood has anti-aging properties. So this is disgusting and it's way out there. I've been hearing this stuff for years and years and years, but now it's going mainstream. New medical treatment imbues older adults with teen blood harvested from youth. Vampirism about to become mainstream medicine. Interesting, because the elites have been doing this for a very long time, right? So they've known about this long before the medical community found out. Anyway, in a shocking turn of events, the mainstream media is now openly admitting that the elite are spending top dollar to obtain infusions of young blood from teenagers, which they believe contains some kind of fountain of youth. And we know that it's not teenagers that they're doing this. It's not, it's babies. Reports indicate that a new clinical trial known as Ambrosia is testing the effects of young blood, which contains special growth factors not found in older blood that some believe can help to reverse the aging process. There are pretty much people from most states, people from overseas, people from Europe and Australia, revealed Dr. Jesse Karmazin, who's working on the project, to CBS Philadelphia about the types of participants involved in the trial. Those who obtain the blood transfusions from young people are being paid $8,000 to see how it affects them. And if all is a success, as Dr. Karmazin hopes, then he plans to start an entire business selling young blood for profit. Gee, what could go wrong? I can't think of anything. Those who obtain the blood transfusion, okay, we already read that. In explaining what he claims he's already observed in test rats, those given their transfusions apparently saw a reversal in the aging process. Their brains are younger, their hearts, he stated, their hair, if it was gray, it turns dark again. Stanford researchers are now testing young blood on Alzheimer's patients. Similar research is taking place at Stanford University, where researchers are reportedly testing the effects of young blood on Alzheimer's patients. According to Dr. Shannon Shaw, an Alzheimer's researcher at Stanford, young blood is already showing evidence of helping to improve the functional abilities of dementia patients. Now, okay, if this was done, on consenting teenagers and they were paid for their blood donations, then I could see that there's nothing wrong with that as long as they were agreeable to that. But we know that that's not what's going to happen, because we know what human nature is and how this could go very, very, very wrong. Anyway, wanted to let you guys in on that. And let's go back. Oh yes, this is out there. Medicine is coming very, very far these days. Brains of 3 people have been successfully connected, enabling them to share thoughts. Don't know about you, but I don't want to share my thoughts with 2 other people. Not that way. I mean, I'll go the old-fashioned way, like this, Neuroscientists have successfully hooked up a 3-way brain connection to allow 3 people to share their thoughts, and in this case, play a Tetris-style game. The team thinks this wild experiment could be scaled up to connect whole networks of people, and yes, it's as weird as it sounds. It works through a combination of electroencephalograms, EEGs, for recording the electrical impulses that indicate brain activity, and transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, where neurons are stimulated using magnetic fields. The researchers behind the system have dubbed it BrainNet and say it could eventually be used to connect many different minds together, even across the web. But apart from opening up strange new methods of communication, BrainNet could actually teach us more about how the human brain functions on a deeper level. And again, what could go wrong? Yeah, I think that there's enough ways of communicating without actually linking people's brains together. But hey, so we present BrainNet, which to our knowledge is the first multi-person, non-invasive, direct brain-to-brain interface for collaborative problem solving, wrote the researchers in October 2018. The interface allows 3 human subjects to collaborate and solve a task using direct brain-to-brain communication. In the experiment set up by scientists, 2 senders were connected to EEG electrodes and asked to play a Tetris-style game involving falling blocks. They had to decide whether each block needed rotating or not. To do this, they were asked to stare at one of 2 flashing LEDs at each side of the screen, one flashing at 15 Hertz and the other at 17 Hertz, which produced different signals in the brain that the EEG could pick up on. These choices were then relayed to a single receiver through a TMS cap that could generate phantom flashes of light in the receiver's mind, known as phosphenes. The receiver couldn't see the whole game area, but had to rotate the falling block if a light flash signal was sent. Across 5 different groups of 3 people, the researchers hit an average accuracy level of 81.25%, which is decent for a first try. To add an extra layer of complexity to the game, the senders could add a second round of feedback, indicating whether the receiver had made the right call. Receivers were able to detect which of the senders was most reliable based on brain communications alone, which the researchers say shows promise developing systems that deal with more real-world scenarios where human unreliability would be a factor. And while the current system can only transmit 1 bit or flash of data at a time, the team from the University of Washington and Carnegie Mellon University think the setup can be expanded in the future. The same group of researchers has previously been able to link up 2 brains, successfully getting participants to play a game of 20 questions against each other. Again, phantom phosphene flashes were used to transmit information, in this case, yes or no. For now, it's very slow and not fully reliable, and this work has yet to be peer-reviewed by the neuroscience community, but it's a glimpse at some fanciful ways we could be getting our thoughts across to each other in the future, maybe even pooling mental resources to try and tackle major problems. Our results raised the possibility of future brain-to-brain interfaces that enable cooperative problem solving by humans using a social network of connected brains, wrote the team. For now, the research available online on the ARXIV preprint server. A version of this article was first published in October 2018. Now, here's my whole thing with that. Besides the, hey, what could go wrong with that angle, there's the angle of, I could see this being weaponized. I really could. I could see if you had to interrogate someone, you could link brains with them and you'd be able to know immediately down the road. Of course, it's still in its infancy, but we know, look at where computers have come from. Just in my lifetime. So, we know that if they have gotten this far, they're going to continue this. And so, does it open the possibility of the future and being able, if you're interrogating someone, being able to link to their brain and be able to, know things just by having access to their brain? That's kind of, it's kind of scary, and it's kind of, invasive, one thing, but it's also, I would feel kind of violated. I don't want somebody in my brain. Let me know how you guys think about this. What do you think could go wrong? I think a whole lot of things could go wrong, but let me know what you think anyway. And we will go on. All right. Yes, and this, I'm sure you've already heard this. I think it's interesting considering the timing that Trump has declared, and we won't go into a lot of detail here, but Trump has proclaimed that January is a month committed to abolition of human trafficking. And I think that this is very interesting timing. Knowing what we know, I think the timing is interesting, considering that I think a lot of these people will be brought to trial and brought before military tribunals. I think that the timing is very, very interesting. So that's something to, keep an eye on, because what's going to happen tonight, this month, because he's saying that it's committed to abolition of human trafficking. I hope that by the end of this month, we've made giant strides in that area, because it's horrific. I always knew that human trafficking existed, but I had no idea the extent to which it exists. And that has been probably the most difficult part of waking up, because I just didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that at all. Nobody likes or wants to think about a child being harmed or an animal being harmed, but most of all, a child. It's horrific. So anyway, I know we are all with President Trump in that. Now, Huma the Mole has numerous ties to Islamists, including, now we probably know this, but it's a good reminder, Muslim Brotherhood. Mother, brother, and deceased father were all Muslim. She worked for an Islamic publication founded by a top Al-Qaeda financier, personal aide and friend to Hillary Clinton, access to numerous Americans with top security clearance, and you thought she married Anthony Weiner for his stunning good looks and charming personality. No, I didn't. No, I never thought that. I'm just saying, I never thought that. I knew there was a reason. Because, she's a very attractive girl, and she's very intelligent. She may have her faults, but you can't fault her on her intelligence. And I just didn't. It wasn't an equal match there. Excuse me. All right. So let's go down here. Whoops. I overshot the mark. But that's all right. It's all right. We'll go back. Okay. Now, this is from Twitter by someone called The Quint. U.S. Strategic Command apologized on 31st of December for a joke in bad taste after tweeting it was ready to drop something much bigger than the traditional Times Square crystal ball at New Year. Now, I had heard that. I didn't actually. Now, U.S. military apologists for tweet about dropping bombs. Now, I did not actually see that tweet, but I heard a lot about it. It was deleted directly soon after being posted, but it was posted on the 31st of December. Now, I don't know if any of you know the exact time that it was posted. Could you put it in the comments below, because it would be interesting to me, because the executive order went into effect on December 31st at midnight, which would have been then the 1st. So interesting. I think that's what they were talking about. I think that was the bomb, this executive order. That's what I think, personally. And then they deleted it because I think it was meant for the Anons and those of us that follow Q, personally. That's what I think. And it was deleted soon afterwards. They knew that this would be a kind of a tipping their hat to the Anons. That's how I feel about it anyway. If you feel differently, please put it in the comments below. You don't have to agree with me. I don't erase somebody's comment because they don't agree with me. I will erase a comment that has a lot of foul language or is abusive to others or myself, and I will delete those, but I don't delete somebody for not agreeing with me, ever. Okay. And here we go. This is interesting too. By Jack Lee, QFD Shadow Band. POTUS appears to be on board Air Force One. Transponder is off. We got a mysterious message on 8chan photo of desk in Air Force One asking if the Anons were ready. Hell yes, we are ready. So interesting. Now, I can't remember. Okay, this was the 31st. So to me, it's interesting that, first of all, they tweeted this tweet about the bombs, like a bomb dropping at midnight, and then erased it. And then also we have POTUS, who appeared to be on Air Force One, and the transponder was off. And then there was this message on 8chan asking if the Anons were ready. So I think that we have now, being into the new year, we've passed over that threshold, and I think it's on now. That's, if we can believe Q, and so far we've been able to, then we have to believe that something went into effect. We know that the executive order went into effect at midnight, so that's good. But I do believe that starting tomorrow through maybe the 5th, there's going to be an uptick in activity. That's what I believe. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But that's what people are saying. That's the buzz. That's the chatter. Things are going to start happening. So we'll see. If they don't, I think there's going to be a lot of very upset people. And probably including myself. I mean, I want to see something. I want to see that. I'm not one of these people that, oh, nothing's happening. Oh, no, not at all. But I want to see something. I want to see that, yeah, okay, there are people going to Guantanamo. There are people being arrested. And I do believe that they have been already picking up people and taking them to Guantanamo, because there seems to be an uptick in the traffic there. I don't know, but that's what seems to be happening. All right. Now, what is this? This is kind of interesting, and you probably saw this about Lindsey Graham. And let me just click on this. I don't know. It's being hateful. All right. Graham said, "I feel pretty good about Syria after lunch with Trump." So Graham met with Trump, and then, because he was not for pullout of the troops from Syria, but after having lunch with Trump, he said, "I feel pretty good about it." So obviously, Senator Lindsey Graham told reporters Sunday that, "I feel pretty good about where we're headed in Syria," after suggesting that President Trump is reconsidering the planned pullout, which had drawn bipartisan criticism and forced the resignation of Defense Secretary James Mattis. Graham emerged from the White House after a 2-hour lunch with Trump and said that the president told me some things I didn't know that made me feel a whole lot better about where we're headed in Syria. He promised to destroy ISIS. He's going to keep that promise, Graham said of Trump. We're not there yet, but as I said today, we're inside the 10-yard line and the president understands the need to finish the job. Earlier Sunday, Graham called on Trump to reverse his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria in a wide-ranging interview broadcast on CNN's State of the Union. If we leave now, the Kurds are going to get slaughtered, Graham told host Dana Bash, adding that Trump had discussed the matter with Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, and was reconsidering how we do this. He's frustrated. I get it. People should pay more. They should fight more, Graham said, but we're not the police of the world here. We're fighting a war against ISIS. They're still not defeated in Syria. I'm asking the president to make sure that we have troops there to protect us. Don't outsource our national security to some foreign power. If we leave now, the Kurds are going to get into a fight with Turkey. They could get slaughtered. Graham echoed the theme outside the White House, telling reporters that the Kurds stepped up when nobody else would to fight ISIS. The last thing in the world we want is a war for Turkey and the Kurds, Graham said. That takes pressure off ISIS. The last thing we want, in addition to that, is Iran to be the big winner here, so I think the president's going to finish the job when it comes to ISIS. I share his goal to withdraw our forces from Syria. I just want to do it in a smart way to make sure that Iran's not a big winner. In his interview with CNN, Graham also characterized former President Barack Obama's justification for pulling troops out of Iraq in 2011, a move widely credited with allowing the rapid rise of the terrorist group ISIS there, as a bunch of bullshit. Graham rejected the idea that the 2008 U.S.-Iraq Status of Forces Agreement signed by President George W. Bush had forced Obama's hand. The agreement called for all U.S. forces to leave the country by the end of 2011. That's a complete and absolute lie, Graham said. I was there, talking to the Prime Minister of Iraq. Obama wanted to get a zero. He got to zero. Obama wanted to get to zero. He got to zero. October 21st, 2011, I said, I hope the president is right, but I fear this decision will come back to haunt us. ISIS came about as a result of our withdrawal from Iraq. Everything we're dealing with today falls on Obama's watch, Graham added. He's the one that withdrew from Iraq. After lunch with the president, Graham said that he thought Trump's post-Christmas visit to Iraq was eye-opening. The commanders there told him that ISIS was in a world of hurt, the senator said, not completely destroyed, but well on its way. I think operations to completely destroy and decimate ISIS are going to be ongoing and are going to be accelerated. So the president assured me that he's going to make sure he gets the job done, and I assured him that nobody has done more to defeat ISIS than he has, Graham added. Graham later tweeted, I learned a lot from President Donald Trump about our efforts in Syria that was reassuring. The president will make sure any withdrawal from Syria will be done in a fashion to ensure, one, ISIS is completely destroyed, and two, Iran doesn't fill in the back end, and three, our Kurdish allies are protected. So it's interesting, his whole turnabout, Lindsey Graham, and I don't understand what the reason is for that, but he is certainly on board with Trump. There's no question about that, and has been very, very supportive of him. So I hope that that continues. Anyway, now I can't remember what this is, but let's take a look at this first. Oh yes, this is interesting because it talks about, this is actually from a documentary, I believe.
Indonesian child.
And it's originally aired on France 24, and this is Barack Obama's Barry Soetoro's Indonesian childhood exposed. So it's only 1 minute and 30 seconds long, so let's take a listen to this. I'm going to turn the volume up here, make sure you can hear it.
Childhood would be complete without a visit to the central Jakarta neighborhood of Menteng.
That's my little brother, a friend of Obama. So did you know Obama? Of course, I used to live over there, and Mr. Obama used to come and play here. That's why the residents here are so proud. The President of America lived here.
le président d'Amérique. Ouh là là.
A former classmate takes us to the street where Obama used to live. He was known then as Barry.
Did you hear that? He was known then as Barry. So there you're hearing it from, you know, his classmates and his friends.
Yeah, this is where Barry used to live. Over there in the corner, at the end of the hall, there was always a monkey and baby crocodiles in a basin.
Students today at Barry Obama's former primary school still consider him a hero, despite his mixed academic record when he was a pupil here.
He
wasn't the first in his class, but he was a strong student. He was very gifted in math and science, but he was terrible at art, and he couldn't hold a note to save his life.
Obama spent 4 years of his childhood in Indonesia. This is his first visit as president.
Yeah, so there you go. Interesting. Wonder why this wasn't aired in America. Just asking. Can't imagine why. All right, and let's look at this. Here's Obama here, 2010. I never said drill, baby, drill, because we can't drill our way to lower gas prices. Then in 2012, even if we drilled every square inch of this country right now, we're going to be relying on other countries for oil. And average 2012 U.S. gasoline cost nearly $4 per gallon. And then we have President Trump, 2017. We will start a new energy revolution, one that celebrates American production on American soil. 2018, December, the USA now exports more oil than it imports for the first time in 70 years. Average 2018 U.S. gasoline cost about $2.50 per gallon. Yeah, and actually, it's even lower now, from what I understand. And I'm jealous because I want to be there enjoying those low gas prices because they're certainly not low here. All right, and then there's this. Yeah, and we looked at this earlier, and this is just further to that. All Dem elitists live in gated communities, but state walls are not effective. Quite comical, but would not expect anything less from them. No, they are quite hypocritical, aren't they? Yeah, they have the big old walls around their houses, but they don't think that our country should have a wall because that's immoral. Oh, and they don't work. They don't work. Walls don't work. I guess they just spend all that money to put their walls up just for, you know, I guess they have just so much money that, well, hey, how are we going to spend it? Let's build some walls. I think that's what they do because they don't work. Crazy. All right. And then there's this. All right. Victoria Gates, opinion. Let me make this bigger. You know why? Because I can. All right. Victoria Gates, opinion. The psychological impact of mass trials and arrests of high-profile figures, political and private, within the United States will be unprecedented. We are entering uncharted territory, according to documents obtained by our research prior to launching our publication. And that publication apparently is Tribunal Report. So interesting. I guess this is, they are going to be reporting on the tribunals and what is happening there. I don't know, but it's interesting. Just kind of popped up. That was from the 29th of December. And what is this? Oh, yes. Okay. This is kind of an outline of Trump's executive order that was effective January 1st, yesterday, 2019. Death penalty sections. Not that I'm smiling about the death penalty, but C. A sentence of death may be adjudged by a court-martial for an offense under this section article only if the members unanimously find beyond a reasonable doubt one or more of the following aggravating factors. 1. The accused has been convicted of an other offense involving espionage or treason for which either a sentence of death or imprisonment for life was authorized by statute. 2. In the commission of the offense, the accused knowingly created a grave risk of substantial damage to the national security. Sound like anybody you know? 3. In the commission of the offense, the accused knowingly created a grave risk of death to another person. Sound like anybody you know? 4. Any other factor that may be prescribed IV/4430-C parenthesis 6 parenthesis C Article 106A by the President by regulations under Section 836 of this article, Article 36. B. Elements. Espionage. Number 1. A. Under 1A, that the accused communicated, delivered, or transmitted any document, writing, code book, signal book, sketch, photograph, photographic negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, note, instrument, appliance, or information relating to the national defense. Uh-oh. Sound like anybody you know? B. That this matter was communicated, delivered, or transmitted to any foreign government or to any faction or party, military or naval force within a foreign country, whether recognized or unrecognized by the United States, or to any representative, officer, agent, employee, subject, or citizen thereof, either directly or indirectly, and C. That the accused did so with the intent or reason to believe that such matter would be used to the injury of the United States or to the advantage of a foreign nation. Sound like anybody you know? Attempted espionage. A. That the accused did a certain overt act. B. That the act was done with the intent to commit the offense of espionage. That the act amounted to more than mere preparation, and D. That the act apparently tended to bring about the offense of espionage. 3. Espionage as a capital offense. A. That the accused committed espionage or attempted espionage, and B. That the offense directly concerned 1. Nuclear weaponry, military spacecraft or satellites, early warning systems, or other means of defense or retaliation against large-scale attack. Sound like anybody you know? 2. War plans. 3. Communications, intelligence, or cryptographic information. Or 4. Any other major weapon system or major element of defense strategy. Interesting. That sounds like, those offenses sound like somebody that sounds very familiar to me. Actually, quite a few people. I'm just saying. And at the bottom, this Anon wrote, folks, Trump's deep state payback is getting started. And it is. It started at midnight on the 31st. When we crossed over into January 1st, 2019, the stopwatch began. I really believe that. And this is fascinating. And I have to show this to you guys because to me, this is really, really interesting. Look at this ring that Podesta has. You know what it is? You know what this ring is? It's a poison ring. It's a ring that they keep, cyanide or poison. Why would he need that? Why would he need that ring? I don't know. You tell me. I think we all know. All right, now what is this? Oh, yes, remember what I was saying about Guantanamo Bay, that there was an uptick in traffic? Well, this proves it, because these are the arrivals at Guantanamo Bay Airport, and they seem to be arriving from all over the place. Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, Norfolk, I can never say that, Norfolk. Is it Norfolk? I never pronounce that right, so please correct me. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Fort Lauderdale Executive, Fort Lauderdale International, Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, Norfolk, Joint Base Andrews, Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, Norfolk. So, yeah, lots of flights. maybe that's usual, but I don't think so. Because I think I found this on, I'm not sure who I got this from, to tell you the truth, but I think that they were pointing it out because it's very unusual. All right, let's see what else we have here. I may have to break this off because we're getting, I've been going for a while here. And this is, oh, okay, this is just about the attacks that were on the 8chan board on December 29th. And I thought that that was interesting because that seems to happen a lot when they, meaning the deep state or the cabal, think that Q might be dropping something important. They tend to attack the 8chan board and to prevent that from happening. But it doesn't work because Q, I mean, they're going to, if it's under attack, they're going to fix it. They always do. So anyway, Now, this is something I want to point out because this made me smile for some reason. It says, notice something different in this photo. Previous presidents had the Secret Service disarm all the troops before they came near them. But Trump is not afraid of our military. Why should he be? The military love him. He ordered them to be allowed to retain their weapons because it's a war zone. And Trump wasn't afraid of them. He didn't order them to be disarmed. And look, he's shaking hands with them. This guy, has a weapon here. If he wanted to use it on Trump, he certainly could. And he could use it before anybody could get to him to intervene. So I think that's interesting. To me, that shows that Trump has a great deal of confidence in the military. And he knows that they love him because he's done more for the military than almost any president. So as far as I know, if that is not the case, then somebody needs to correct me, but that is my understanding. So I think I'm going to stop there because I do have other things, but it is, I am, coming up on an hour here. So let's cut it off there. I will be back tomorrow. We're working on the notebook. So we're doing that, and I will be back with either Q-related news or with Q posts. Now, I happen to think that Q is going to start posting soon because I think that things are happening. I know people were counting on, they were saying this is the 10 days of darkness. I'm not sure I believe that Q not posting was 10 days of darkness because we're actually on the 10th day today. So if that were the case, then Q would post, right? So I don't know, but I know that he will be back. He always comes back. Sometimes he's gone for a long time and then people start to lose hope and lose faith and think, oh, it's probably just whatever. But he always comes back and he always renews our faith and lets us know what's going on. And I have no doubt that he will do that in this instance as well. So I'm going to close for this evening. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate you, those of you that have bought me coffee, that have become Patreon, members. I really, really appreciate it. So I wanted to let you know that, and I wanted to wish you all a wonderful and prosperous new year. So stay safe, stay blessed, and I will talk to you guys real soon. Good night.